So welcome everyone. We have the chance today to welcome Florence Eustache for this new Ask Me Anything session organized by the Young MedChem Forum. So who is the Young MedChem Forum? The Young MedChem Forum is a group of 12 young medicinal chemists coming from industrial or academic part. We are here to promote young students and young chemists to learn about careers and medicinal chemistry. For that, we organize different action. This Ask Me Anything session where we discuss about different aspects of the careers in medicinal chemistry. We are working with the Société Chimique, the Chimie Thérapeutique in France. So we organize also a France mapping where we organize different medicinal chemistry and academic lab working in medicinal chemistry. We are doing also mentoring program in complementary from the European Association. Our mentoring program is dedicated to a master's student and first year PhD student. And we also organize My Publication at a Glance. It's a 5 minutes video presentation of a recent publication by a PhD student. And this video are on our YouTube channel. So if you want to know more about us, just follow us on our website, visit our website, follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, and check up our YouTube channel. Just for today, so please try to turn on your camera when you ask questions, mute your microphone when not speaking, and just for you, this session will be recorded to be diffused on our website, on your YouTube channel. So as I told you, today we have the chance to welcome Florence Eustache, which is Head of Business Development Discovery Europe in Evotech, and we'll talk about becoming a business developer in industry. So please, Florence, thank you to be here.
Thank you very much, Sandy. Thank you for welcoming me. This is a pleasure. You know, I am a chemist at heart. That was my training, and I will tell you a little bit more about it. So yeah, I'm very, very pleased to talk to you all today. So a little bit about me and my background. So I am as I said, a chemist by training, but I actually did my lycée in Nancy. And after a scientific baccalaureate, I hesitated between class préparatoire, scientific, commercial. I didn't really know at the time. And I guess that was a sign of what the future would be for me. But at the time, I chose the science. And after a brief stay in class préparatoire scientifique, I really rapidly saw that it was not really for me and decided to go to university. So I did my 4 year at university in Nancy in science to start with globally, and then focus on chemistry. And after 4 years, I had the opportunity, having worked quite hard at university, I had the opportunity to enter at the USPCI, so École d'ingénieur in Paris, in chemistry. Because at the time we were entering, when coming from university, we were entering in 3rd year, they asked me to stay for the 4th year, which was a DA, at the school, in one of the labs of the school. And this is where I did my DEA with Professor Cossy at one of the organic chemistry lab of the USPC. And at that time, I was lucky enough to be offered a funding for my PhD. So it was a co-funded PhD from Rhodia and University. So at the time we were calling Jussieu, I think it was Paris 6, but it's all changed names since. But basically it was industry funded PhD, which was great to have first feeling about the industry and working chemistry in the industry. So I did my PhD. And after my PhD, I had kind of just really thinking of what should I do now? Do I go for a postdoc? Have I had enough of academic setting? Yes or no? And for me, I just wanted to see more about the industry. So I started to look for an industrial postdoc, if possible, in an English-speaking country. And I failed to find a postdoc, but actually found a job. And that's how I started at Evotech in 2003. I arrived at Evotech as a senior scientist in chemistry. And a new world opened to me. Still doing a lot of synthesis in chemistry, but I had the opportunity to go from purely synthetic projects, combinatorial chemistry, smaller library compound, to a pure medchem project. And I did that for 10 years. I had the opportunity to work with multiple clients for Evotech. So I'll tell you a little bit more about Evotech afterwards. But basically, we are globally a CRO working with pharma partners. And I had the opportunity during my time as a chemist at Evotech to work on multiple projects in different therapeutic areas. Whether it was inflammation, whether it was pain, and really being able to see a project from the chemistry side of things, but globally on how it looks like to be involved in the MTA cycle, in developing drug to take them to the clinic. After 10 years as a chemist, I had the opportunity, and I really say the opportunity here, to join the business development team at Evotech. So I was very happy as a chemist. I was extremely happy to interact with clients. I think after 10 years as really everybody working in the lab, I had like the will to see something else. And there was this position being created at Evotech to be able to support the all BD team. And the support was going from organizing some marketing activities, generating slide decks to outline the company, supporting each of the business developers all over the world with small opportunities. So a fantastic opportunity to see the world of the business in the pharma industry with a role which was really varied. And this is when I started in 2013 with absolutely no business background. And I think that's very important. And I guess the team who recruited me in the BD team really relied on my experience of working with clients as a chemist, being on projects, as leveraging the scientific background to be able to sell the services of the company, and also, of course, on character and communication. And as time went, so from 2013 to nowadays, I evolved in the role. I led the marketing side of things on the side to really focus on business development work. And currently, I am SVP Business Development at Evotech. I am leading the overall business development discovery team. So again, I'll tell you more in the next few slides about what the role means and what we do. So a very simple background in terms of company, because it's been 22 years at Evotech, but it's been certainly a great journey. So to tell you a little bit more about Evotech, to understand what I do and my team do in business development. So we are what we call a end-to-end drug discovery and development partner, meaning that we can, as a company, perform and run any activity from the very start of drug discovery, the target identification, or even generating data for target identification, to the clinic. And we can really run all these activities, very, very few actually that we can't. And we have a multiple model to do that. We have been here at Evotech for 30 years. We have a great reputation in terms of scientific excellence on disease understanding, and as I said, from target to the clinic. We offer a range of flexible collaboration, whether it is standalone services. For example, if a company needs a very simple or specific activity, such as an in vivo study, a proteomic study, mode of action elucidation that we can do as a standalone, and we can go from standalone work, one activity, to fully integrated drug discovery. We also invest a lot in our platform to not only be able to offer typical drug discovery activity, but also to offer technical scientific platform, such as multi-omics, such as iPSC drug discovery, as well as AI ML platform. And that gives us an advantage on potential competitor. And it comes to really enrich our offering, always with the idea to speed up drug discovery and take identified compound as quickly as possible to the clinic. In terms of presence, we are an international company with sites all across Europe, as well as in the US. You want to go next slide? Okay. So on this slide, it's a little bit of a busy slide, but just to give you really what I call the 3 pillars of Evotech, and actually what makes the work of a business developer at Evotech very, very exciting. So as I say, we go from target ID to the market. We have a lot of different activities, whether it is on the modality, like the discovery of new entity, their optimization, their characterization, their evaluation in toxicology studies, as well as their manufacturing. We do that in a very, very smooth manner all across the different phases, meaning that team in target identification are working closely to the hit identification team, and same with the lead optimization. The crucial transition from the discovery to the development, where we look at the toxicity and evaluation of drug to be ready to go to the clinic, is also very, very smooth with teams working together on this transition. So as part of my job and my team's job, we really focus on the phase target ID to the entry in preclinical development. And then we have teams at Evotech who are really focused on the development, so all the toxicology, formulation, as well as manufacturing of the drugs. So that's the end-to-end is one pillar. The second pillar is the disease biology expertise, or what we call the multi-therapeutic area expertise. We've acquired expertise, and platform to be active in all main disease biology. So just to name a few: CNS, liver disease, respiratory disease, immuno-oncology, oncology, inflammation, immunology. And the way we build this platform is to really recruit scientists, in vitro, in vivo, biomarker scientists with expertise in this disease biology, which means that to the end-to-end, we had the expertise of the disease biology. And then the third pillar is the modality. So Evotec as a company in its roots, it's small molecule. So hence, when I joined 22 years ago, we were only doing small molecules, so chemistry, and obviously the biology, but the small molecule was the only modality. And then we built the platform in terms of modalities to be able to do peptide drug discovery, to be able to do oligo, antibody, all the exotic conjugated modalities such as ADC. And for that, we build the expertise, again, across teams with the expertise in discovery, in development, in bioanalysis, DMPK, very important to have the expertise in the drug discovery. And bringing these three pillars together give them really a really exciting mix, meaning that for any drug discovery project and development project, then we can build a fully tailored solution, bringing the desired activities, bringing the required expertise in the disease biology, and bringing the required expertise in the modality. Meaning that my job and my team's job is really finding the solution. And when we call the CRO, so a solution provider, it's really that. It's just finding the right solution. And I'll tell you a little bit more in the next slide. So finding solution, it means that for the company, we need to find the right solution to suit our clients. Where are we finding our clients or the business? So the three goals for us, business developer, is to initiate business with brand new client that we've never worked with before. And the way we do that is multiple manners. We are doing networking in conferences. We are looking at the market insight. We're constantly looking at news about company formation, company who raise fundings, using competitor intelligence. We using our network, so existing network, our colleagues' network, to really identify new customer. For the business as well, what we absolutely need to leverage is the existing business. So the existing business, we can expand it. So somebody comes to us for a specific activity. We need to really understand their company, their need, where they're at, what their goals, to be able to propose other activities that could complement what they need, and to take them to the next scientific milestone for their programs. And there's also the extending the business. So expanding, it's growing in terms of activities. Extending is really on the long term. And maintaining, which means that we need to maintain the relationship with our client, even when the business developer has supposedly finished his work selling. But when we've sold, then we still need to be really involved in existing relationship with client to be able to extend on the long term. To go more in terms of my responsibilities, so I lead a team of 7 people. We're covering all Europe. We have geographical responsibilities. So one business developer is focusing on all the countries from the Benelux. So one of our colleagues is focused on all the Nordics country, one on Spain, Portugal, Italy. And we just really all of us are working on the 3 different types of business model: standalone activities, as I said, typically short-term single activity; the integrated collaboration, where we bring in multiple activities required for a program to take it from A to B, and usually it's multi-year; and what we call the strategic collaboration. So strategic collaboration are typically integrated collaboration, but with multiple programs. And these strategic collaboration also involve complex business model where, for example, we would work at discounted rate in exchange of milestone payment when we reach scientific goals, in exchange of potential royalty. Depends how we are involved financially, how much risk we take, what we can bring as well from our proprietary platform in terms of value added on the program. And we can do that with a wide range of partners, academic groups, foundation, biotechs, whether they're virtual biotechs, whether they are they have wet labs, and also, of course, the pharma groups. So obviously, we are not working in the same manner with an academic group than a pharma partner. First, funding is not the same. Understanding of the drug discovery is not the same as well. And it means that we need to adapt constantly to our partners. And one of my responsibility as well as SVP Business Development is to work on the business strategy. So I work very closely with our operational leadership team at Evotech, with our head of platform, head of modalities, head of therapeutic area, in terms of how we sell our product, how we present our product, which conference we're going to go to and present to, who are we bringing to this conference from the scientific platform, because there's never anybody better to talk about science than the scientists themselves. So I'm here to accompany, but I'm not going to tell you all about iPSC drug discovery because I'm not able to do so. We have experts to do that, but really to know who to bring in the discussion. And then also there's a really strong element on which business to push. What is the business which needs a push at the moment versus another one who was potentially more successful, and really working with operation and the business developer to really push on certain area. I thought it would be a good idea to also outline what are my everyday required skills. What do I need to be a business developer every day? Every day I leverage my scientific background. I'm a chemist. As I said, I'm not an expert in biology, whether it's biomarker, or I'm not an expert in proteomics. However, I have an understanding of the drug discovery. I know what it takes to deliver a clinical candidate at the high level. What are the kind of activities? What are the kind of timelines, the resource, what kind of funding is required? And that helps me every day in my discussion with clients, potential clients, to set up expectation, to help them understand also what they need, and to bring the relevant solution together, build completely tailored solution for the client. I have a customer focus, so the customer comes first. I need to prioritize my to-do list every day, and customer is top of the list. But in the customer focus, it's a very, very strong element of listening to the customer, to understand what they need, and also to communicate with the relevant message. And as I said, we do not do the same with an academic group than a pharma group. Teamwork is absolutely essential within my team, my BD team, but also with the rest of Evotech. Really working as a team, understanding that there's absolutely there's a really strong belief that business developer is, you are the lone wolf working and getting the new business. This is impossible on our own. It really takes a team to bring the scientific expertise, which makes us really trustworthy. We need the legal team who's helping us for the contract. We need the finance team who's helping us in designing exotic, funky business model to suit certain clients' needs. So it's really, really a teamwork every day's teamwork. And finally, and the teamwork feeds into be a people person. I mean, you need to be at least a little bit extrovert to be a business developer. You need to talk to everybody all the time and spend your life doing it. So you better like it. That's a good thing. I like it, but it's something to know, and it's easy to talk with your colleague every day because you know them, you've been working with them for several years, and you talk the same language, like corporate language. It's another thing to go and talk to clients that you've never met before. It requires kind of, at the beginning, I find it really daring and then quite scary to go and talk to CSO of company or head of discovery in big pharma. I was only just a chemist, but they're scientists after all, and their goal is to develop medicine. And from the moment you understand that, you're on the same goal, not same level, but really the same goal. But yes, it takes a lot of talking. And on this, I think I'm done on the slides.
Thank you very much, Florence, for this great presentation and explanation of your biz developer. And now we are going to ask questions to Florence, so feel free to ask any question you have. If you want, you can ask your question in French in the chat and we'll translate the questions, so feel free to ask.
Maybe I can start. Thank you, Florence, for the presentation. It was really nice to hear from your profile, from your job. And at one point in your presentation, you mentioned the moment when you switched from being, after 10 years of senior scientist in chemistry, biz dev. Do you think it would be possible for you at one point, if you start to feel the need to go back to science, to do the reverse way?
So I think now it's been too long. I wouldn't be able, I lost touch with the detail of the med chem, and I wouldn't be good at it anymore. But that said, I don't think I would want to. And let me explain. So when I had the opportunity, I was very worried. And actually, when this email came internally at Evotech saying we're creating this job, I spent a week saying, this is for me. No, this is not. Maybe it is. And I'm really a full week. And I called several friends who had scientific background, who had moved or not moved to other responsibilities. And one of them told me, you can try, why not? But the one who actually made me change my mind and really decide to go for it is, he said, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Do you see yourself in the same position? I knew that I was a good chemist. I was not a genius. So I wouldn't have gone too high. I knew that. But I really still, the thinking on the chemistry, I loved it, right? And always loved it since I started at university. And therefore, I thought I would miss it, really. And when I moved from the science to the BD, I actually negotiated in my move to have a 6-month period where I could go back.
Okay.
So I tried to protect myself and to be perfectly honest. From day one in BD, I never looked back, never. And I guess the reason is because I'm still extremely in touch with science every single day on any project. And I not only am in touch with the science, but I also really leverage what I've learned. And it opened a world, which is like, I don't know, something like 10 times bigger in terms of the science activity and understanding the progression of a compound from the hit identification to IND and helping people to do that. I think that was good enough for me. I'm still very excited about it.
Thank you. Maureen, sorry.
Yes, hi. Thank you, Florence, for your very nice presentation. I do have several questions, but I'm going to start with one. What the difference would you make between BD and alliance management, if there is any?
Okay. So alliance management, it's there's no there is a small element of there's some element of commercial in alliance management, but usually an alliance manager is nominated on a collaboration when the collaboration has been signed or is about to be signed. Meaning that the BD has done the job, just identify the business, created the relationship with a potential client, work together with the client to have a framework agreement, knowing exactly what the collaboration is about. And then when we get to signature of the contract, then it's a kind of a tag team. The business developer is passing on to the alliance manager, and the alliance manager is becoming responsible for the relationship, the day-to-day relationship with the client, responsible for the health of the collaboration, responsible for having all the information on internally from the team, for example, at Evotech, and making sure that the collaboration is healthy as time goes. The alliance manager is always working back with the business developer, because it's also, and this is where we have some commercial element in the alliance management, meaning that the alliance manager is always on the look for new business or expanding the relationship. And this is where the business developer and the alliance manager are working really hand in hand together, because the person who is in the collaboration every single day can really identify the area of needs for a client, or saying, okay, we work in oncology with you, but you have a pipeline in kidney disease. Is there anything you need? So obviously, when setting up a collaboration as business development, we would be able to, but maybe we wouldn't have the chance to really push on other activities because we want to focus on one main one to start with. But the alliance manager can really help them. So it's there's no negotiation, if you want, in the alliance management role. And there's a really strong negotiation. Maybe I should have added that in the required skills every day, the negotiation skills, because that's a really important aspect of the job.
Okay, yeah, thank you. That's pretty clear now. And I guess my second question was, if you're fresh PhD or postdoc and you're looking to start a career in BD straight after, like, let's say less than 5 years experience, I think one of the issues is, like, when you start your job searching, you need to find, search keywords on LinkedIn, for example, or like Indeed. What kind of title or position or roles we could look for? Does that make sense?
I would say business development executive, business development manager.
Are those entry-level roles?
Potentially, but it often, at least at Evotech, I'm S&P Evotech, right? It's just it's not that I have the Evotech tattoo, but almost. I've been there for 22 years. But at least we always look, when people want to join the BD team, for some experience in the industry in science, because, as I said, the understanding of the science is key. Also, maybe a sales manager, but I would guess it's more roles where you go and just work for smaller organization, solution provider, for example, where you would leverage, let's say that it's in vitro biologist PhD, then you can go and maybe work with a CRO who offers a certain range of assays in certain disease biology. But if you really want some like a bigger organization which really has a vast range of activities and services, it will be complicated.
Okay, thank you. I have more questions, but I can leave the room for others. Thank you.
Other questions from other people? If not, Maureen, you can continue.
Okay. No, I think you kind of start answering that question a little bit, but I was wondering, so I've talked to several people, mainly in the US, because I'm in the US, and it sounds like the transition from the bench to this kind of role, it's not as straightforward as it sounds. So I was curious to hear about your point of view. What do you think could be, like, I would say, like a two-step strategy, like either another role, an intermediate position we could start working in, and then eventually the transition into BD would be easier, like, I don't know, starting as a consulting, for example, person. Do you have any advice about that?
Yes, actually, I think some roles such as alliance manager, such as project manager, would be a good step. There's some companies, so for example, Evotech has that. We have a group called Lead Generation, and we typically bring in this group. We recruit internally a lot, a little bit externally as well, but we recruit people from our platform to work, basically to do what I did when I started in the BD role. Really support the BD team with multiple activities where you can learn the job of business developer while really supporting the team. So yes, I would say anything which has a science element and a client focus or client facing element would be a good idea.
Yeah, that's actually sorry. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
Hello, everyone. I also would have a small question. Thank you, Florence, for sharing your experience. You highlighted the fact and the importance of getting new contracts from new customers. How do you reach those new customers? Is it through conferences or is it advertisement? Is there a part of advertisement in your job?
So there's multiple ways. There's people who contact us directly on evotech.com website or info@evotech. There is the network. So, for example, I work with in operation with head of DMPK, head of EAT-ID, and these people have a network. I can see it on LinkedIn, for example, and then I can ask for introduction because I saw in the news that this person has joined Biotech X, and Biotech X just raised 5 million. So this is typically a good candidate for us as new business. It can also be at conference, indeed, where we network and have booths, but not only, walk the ground, talk to people. And I do personally a lot on LinkedIn. So I just look in the feed and look at who changed job, or again, what company has raised money, and I reach out to people. I connect and ask for an introduction call, and more often than not, people say okay. So that's well, mind you, people connect quite easily. The call is another story, but you know it works quite well enough.
Yeah,
and then as well as what we also do is you don't go into conferences or attend a conference without being prepared. There's a lot of prep work which is being done. And it's not only me preparing, but I prepare also with a team at Evotech. So what is the conference? What is the topic? What is the disease focus? Reaching out to companies that may actually go to this conference or individual. We have a database internally at Evotech with a lot of different contacts, and then proactively reaching out and say, okay, my colleague, so that's usually not me doing it, but my colleague Florence will join this conference. If you attend, would you like to meet up? And then like provoking some meetings or pre-organizing meetings at conferences. In the BD world, there's also some fantastic, valuable conference called Bio Europe or Bio, which are typically, industry speed dating. So you have the list of people attending, and then you have a platform, and you can send invitation to meet up at the conference, and they say yes or no. And then if they say yes, it's a match, and then you go at the conference, you know exactly where to go. You have little booth. It's like hundreds of little booths. You have the number of the booth. You go there, and then you have half an hour to discuss with these people. And it can be existing clients, and then you want to have just a catch up. But most of the time, you use these conferences to do generation of new lead and generation of new business. But these are fantastic, really high value, because you get to meet a lot of people in a very short time. Typically exhausting, because you spend 8 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock in the evening, every half hour changing person you talk to about so many different topics. But it's really, really exciting.
Thank you. My second question is towards negotiation. Would you mind talking a little bit more about that? The process of negotiation of these contracts?
Yes. So negotiation is multi-parameters. You can negotiate on price. Of course, this is always what's happening ultimately in BD, because it often comes to pricing. But there's also other negotiation points. You can negotiate on exclusivity. For example, your client is coming to you with a specific target that they've identified and validated, and they believe that it has extremely high value, and they don't want you as a service provider to work with another client on this specific target. So they were going to want exclusivity. Exclusivity means if we give the exclusivity, we are potentially losing business, not being able to work with other clients. So exclusivity has a price. So is the client okay to pay the price of exclusivity? Yes or no? Maybe they're not, because they are a small biotech. So you negotiate around that. Can we work around exclusivity and give some kind of exclusivity, for example, only on small molecule or only on integrated program, but we can do a standalone services on this target? Or can it be exclusivity only on the people who are working on the project, and they will not work on another project at the same time, similar target? So it's this kind of again, it's like commercial solution that you bring to satisfy both parties. And this is always what you have to have in mind when you go into a discussion or a negotiation discussion. You need to end up with a solution which will fit both parties, Evotech, for me, and the client. And you never go with the one you want to end up with, right?
Yeah.
So it's a game. And on price, it's the same. You don't go with your lower price straight away. And you also need to stand firm on many occasions, because we are selling high value science, and this high value science. So let's say somebody comes to you and wants to run a high throughput screening. So wants to leverage Evotech 400,000 from a K compound screening in a biochemical assay to find new chemical matter against a specific target. This hits, which are going to be identified, are going to be taken through drug discovery. This at HTS is going to cost, let's say, ballpark pricing between 200 and 400k euros, roughly, depending on the assay, depending on the size of the library, depending on how we want to do the hit confirmation, etc. Then that's a very small amount of money, considering the price, that the revenue it could generate to this biotech, for example, if they sell this program or they get acquired by a pharma company. We're talking about billions. So there's a lot of value added in the discovery process, and you need to be aware of the value it adds. And therefore, you can't really undersell your services. And that's part of the negotiation, making the other party understand the value you bring.
Yeah.
Allowing you to keep some very acceptable pricing for us.
So that means that in advance, in each negotiation, you know already what is your range of negotiation. How do you know that? How do you...
You know that because of, you know, the kind of activities that you're going to run for the client, how long it's going to last. You know your costs, and you know what kind of profit you want to make.
Okay.
You know what kind of margin you want to have on your, and you know what is your high margin and the lowest margin that you want. So, and it's very different depending on the project. If it's like a 2 months project, if it's a year project, if it's a 3 years project. Is it a project where Evotech actually brings some proprietary platform? And it would be very, very difficult for somebody to find somewhere else. Is it a project where the client has already everything in place, or do we really need the intellectual input of Evotech? And again, that's where you decide. So it's a very it's a never boring job, because it's always different, and it requires a lot of thinking, creativity, and always be aware.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jérôme. Other questions? You can use the chat also if you want.
Maybe I'll take this opportunity to to thank you again, Florence. I think we are really it's a really great opportunity to have you joining us. So thank you for accepting the invitation. I think we had really great questions and already great discussions. I have one question. If I put myself in the shoes of a young scientist and that's making the transition as being now an entry level or junior position business developer or related role, what would you tell this person as what he should expect as the things that are going to be a bit more difficult at the beginning for him in this transition, and it should be ready for some maybe difficulties or challenges, and what you would warning about. And then on the other side, what do you think that would be the most exciting part of this change and this new experience for this person, and all the energizing part?
Okay. So this is a tough job. I think that's worth saying. It's a tough job. It's a job that it's difficult to leave on the side when you switch off your computer in the evening. It's a like the ultimate multitasking, because you deal with a huge amount of opportunities, a huge amount of topics internally, and it requires a crazy work organization. It requires a lot of traveling as well. So this is something to really take in account if you are a young person planning on having a family. you need to have a really good support around you. And again, organization, planning on how I'm going to deal with this trip where it's my week to have the kids, right? It's really that. So it requires a lot of planning and flexibility. One of the hardest part, I guess, is one of the skills to have, and again should have been there, is the resilience. The number of failure or the number of success, you have to be ready to be rejected, to be told no, we've decided to go with an Asian CRO because they are so much cheaper than you, and listen, we're gonna stop this project there. You've been trying to work with them for a year and trying to really set up something, and they say, oh, actually, we changed CSO and the strategy has stopped, has changed, and we're not going to do that anymore. And it's a lot of frustration. So it's, I guess, the ability to really look at the bright side and to say, okay, I thought I lost there, but I learned a lot, and then next time I will do it a little bit differently. And it's definitely, you can't win them all. It's impossible. I would say a few years ago, let's say 4 or 5 years ago, what I call the glorious years, right? Actually pre-COVID. It was not easy. It's never been easy, but it was easier. Nowadays, it's a really tough market. Hopefully that's going to change. But I guess the need for resilience is even more important. So yes, it's a tough job. It requires a lot of energy, flexibility, resilience. And, I don't think it's for everybody. The second part of the question was the great thing it brings.
Yeah, well,
right?
so there's also with every, there's always every coin has two faces, right? So there's difficulties, but then there's also the excitement, and I guess there's for someone coming from the bench, maybe I think it's echoing some question from the previous persons, and so it was Maureen. Basically, what people can expect is that's going to be really exciting and make them really come back to next day with a big smile on the face and say, yeah, I'm going to do this and that. And what's your experience, or what you with yourself or within your team maybe on this?
I think the satisfaction of helping people, ultimately, okay, I'm in business development. It's a very revenue-driven goal in terms of my everyday goal, but ultimately we're helping the patients. Ultimately, we're contributing to put drugs on the market, to treat nasty illness, to help the science progress, to help on diagnostic as well. And that's a fantastic satisfaction. I wouldn't be able to do BD, I don't know, for the oil industry, let's say, So there's like the personal satisfaction and belief that we're really contributing to something huge. And then on the day-to-day, managing to convince a client, signing a contract, working on a new proposal where you know that you have everything in your company to be able to be the most compelling. I think that's really exciting, and that's one of my everyday exciting part of the job. And the satisfaction as well to work with scientific stars. Honestly, every day, I'm not the star, they are, but being able to bring them on the table and talk with our partner, it's fantastic. And to see everything which has been done in discovery nowadays, in all disease, kidney disease, obesity, inflammation, immunology, it's super exciting.
It's very, thank you very much, and I think it's really striking that the elements you highlight, both in the challenges and in the successes, I think is make echoes, at least to my experience with research as a scientist, because we also, I think resilience is also important for everyone doing research. So it's really interesting that we make these bridges between these two. Well, after all, it's all research as well. Really, I think I'd rather leave the floor to other people, which I have other questions, but I'll keep them and leave the floor for other people if there are other comments, other questions that people would like to ask.
I actually come up with a new question for you, Florence. Do you think there is a difference between BD in a CRO like Evotech and BD in a, let's say, top big pharma company or even biotech?
Absolutely. So it's two different jobs actually. So the BD in a pharma group is gonna look for programs, existing programs or existing platform to license or to acquire. And then for us in CRO, we're coming to sell the platform on a case-by-case basis. The numbers are very different as well, in terms of contract associated number, the dollar associated to the contract. The skills that you need to have are still the basic one, are still the same. You have the negotiation. You need to have the creativity, the teamwork, etc. But you do not negotiate in the same way a program which is ready for the clinic than a HTS or a in vitro study. That said, in the list of the different things we do, we also look at strategic collaboration. So these strategic collaboration are closer to what BD and pharma are doing. Closer, still not exactly the same, but there. And then also in BD and pharma, often they have a focus on a disease biology, on potential specific platform. Whereas for us at Evotech, we are really looking at every single disease biology, at every single modality. So there's less focus on our side. That said, I'm not too sure how it works with other service provider, our competitors, if they have some specific, for example, therapeutic area focus. So they may be.
Yeah, I was actually behind my question. I was thinking, imagine you work for a pharma or biotech company and you just make this big deal about even just $100 million for like acquiring this program. And at the end of the day, you go into trials and you fail in phase 2. Basically, you lost a lot of money. Where
Yeah.
I think in your shoes, when you close a deal, even if you underestimate the cost of the HCS and after that the company is able to like license out for like a big amount of money, you didn't kind of lose, because you still kind of make the deal you wanted to make. So I feel like maybe in a CRO, at least to start, there is a better safety net, I would say, than working for a pharma. What do you think? Is that true?
Yes and no. I mean, if you sign an HTS, then the risk of failure is actually quite low. You're right. You sign it, you get the revenue, that's in the bank. But you need to sign a lot of HTS, a lot of mode of action elucidation, a lot of proteomic study to generate enough revenue for the company. So what we
Yeah, thank you for your answer.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Other questions?
I would have maybe a follow-up question from the first question of Maureen. Who's your counterpart on the customer side? Is it a BD, or is it a team of a BD, a scientist, and a finance person, for instance?
It really depends on the organization. So sometimes, if it's an academic group, it's going to be the PI. If it's a small biotech, for example, a startup, where they have like 3 people max, you can talk directly to the CEO or the CSO. For the pharma, it's actually often the scientists first we're talking to, and then they bring the procurement people in the mix. Rarely we talk to the BDs, only if it's a platform collaboration. So, for example, wanted to access our iPSC platform, and it's a iPSC drug discovery collaboration, and there is upfront payment, and there's milestone, etc. So you build, and then the BDs are getting it all. But that's only with the big organization. But with biotechs, with academic groups, it's the scientists, which is really nice, because it means that our scientists are talking directly to the scientists, and it means that you're bringing a project together based on the science first.
Yeah, that means that your background is really important then.
Yeah,
sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions?
If I'm not stealing anyone's opportunity for a question, there's something that we didn't discuss so far, and I'm surprised we didn't. Although you, Florence, touched base on this a little bit at the beginning, or even alluded it, is that when changing to a different field, and would be for a scientist to move to something that would be more related to business development or other related jobs, and there's a question, of course, of do we need additional qualification? I'm thinking the MBA, or not, and I think it's interesting question. It's one of my favorite questions when I discuss with people that left science for other discipline related to business, more or less. And I would be happy to have your opinion on that. Well, you already disclosed a bit your experience with that, but I think we can certainly elaborate a bit.
Yeah. So when you move from science to business development, often people do not require an MBA. Often people decide to do an MBA when they've done the move, right? To complete their formation and their training. I don't think it is absolutely necessary. I didn't. And I think, the way I progressed is to show that I didn't need to. That said, I am in a very specific industry, which is the service industry. It's not BD in pharma. And I haven't tried, but I don't know how easy it would be. Because it gives, I guess an MBA is giving you other perspective, mostly on these big deals. And it's, yes, I guess an MBA will give you a wide range of possibility in terms of training, which I didn't get. But it's not absolutely necessary. It's a plus. On my side, there was a very personal decision on having a family, 2 young girls. At the time I moved to business development, and there was a lot to be done all over. And adding an MBA would have been potentially killing me. So that was not an option. But yes, this is, I would say that if people have the will, the time, the energy to do it, because when you do a PhD and postdocs, and it's a lot of time studying, etc., if you have the energy to add another 2 years on top of your everyday job, then yes, absolutely, it can't hurt. To the contrary, it can only be a plus. But it's possible without.
Thank you, Florence. Thank you very much.
And just to add, I guess for me, the best learning was from my colleagues in business development, really working closely with them. And then when I started, because I was supporting the overall team, it was really getting all the styles. And then you build your own one, right? And you learn from everybody. You learn also from working with US-based clients, European-based clients, different culture, different way to do things, different way to negotiate. Sometimes a little bit more forceful, sometimes less, again, with a different organization. So you learn a lot being out there on the ground and then from peers.
Thank you. Few last questions.
Last week, I've talked to a CBO of a startup here in the East Coast, and this guy has a PhD and later on did an MBA, and he told me, with your PhD, you become expert in a very tiny area. With an MBA, you become expert in nothing. And I think it was like, wow. So he basically said an MBA, like you actually said, it's something you could add later on, especially if you have an entrepreneur like mindset. But it basically doesn't add a lot of things when you start the job. It's more like for people already doing the job. I think it's things like you said. But I this sentence, like you become an expert in nothing, was like, so why do people do an MBA?
And maybe if we need to conclude soon, I believe with you, Florence, I think we have, as you explained, we have here a professional negotiator, and maybe you can share a small tip, because I believe negotiation is a useful skill for everyone in every situation. Maybe not practiced as often as someone that is doing it in this professional context, but I always like this aspect, and maybe there's a small tip you have to share with us on negotiating. Would it be at work or within the family or whatever would be the context. Something to keep in mind that we can take away from today.
Yeah, it's almost as difficult negotiating with a client than with two teenagers, I can tell you.
It's the kind of things I didn't mind.
Yeah. Yeah, as I said, you never go with your best offer first, with your lowest offer first. You need to you need to make sure that you have your strategy. So you think 2 steps ahead, 3 steps ahead. Then I'm gonna go with that. If they say this, I'll do this. If they say that, I'll do that. And you do your little decision tree, right? In your mind, you write it, whatever. But you need to know. And then also you need to choose your battles. You can't win on everything. Okay, you have a range of topics to be able to negotiate on, and you're gonna have to give to get some. This is the so, and it works everywhere. Huh? At home, on screen time versus homework. But yes, you need to be able to accept to lose a little bit to gain more. And sometimes it can be extremely frustrating, because sometimes you have across you some extremely hard and harsh negotiator. Typically, procurement groups in pharma, they train for that. It's just they would not let go. Okay, so sometimes what you thought was your lowest price is not. You just have to accept to go a little bit lower, or to win on something else. But it's very interesting because you have a lot of different way to do it, and then again, it's just bring a lot of colors to the job in what you experience in terms of negotiation. Yeah, I think that's it. I'll probably think of other tips, but
I was expecting only one tip, but you've been very generous here. Several things to think on. It's
Thank you. Other questions to close the discussion? If not, we can thank a lot Florence for this presentation and rich discussion. We can thank also all the person who asked questions, Pierre, Maureen, Jérôme, and Guillaume. And please follow us, follow our group, the Young Medchem Forum, and our actions. And see you later. Thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you very much for having me. That was a pleasure.
Florence.
Thank you very much, Florence.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.